part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I'm your host, Damon Royster, and today we are going off the beaten path, away from the MCU, kind of, to a different kind of Marvel. We're going all the way back to 2002. Today we are talking about SpiderMan, a.k.a. Uncle Ben. We are joined, oh God, I have two amazing guests to discuss the original Spider-Man. So please welcome to your ears two little sluts, self-proclaimed. Please welcome Paige Maney and Alan Giles. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, Damon. But why would you call us that? Why would you call us little sluts? I'm literally engaged, Damon. I'm not a slut.
I am a slut, but you're not allowed to say that. That's my word.
Yeah. I can't believe that it's starting this way, but I guess we're still here, so.
Yeah, you know, I really just wanted to come out guns blazing, like I do every week on my podcast.
Howard Stern over here.
Oh yeah, I'm really the Howard Stern of Marvel podcasts. How are you two? Let's start with Alan. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Damon. The movie is fresh. I think I told you this pre-recording, but I watched the first half last night until about 1 a.m. when I could not keep my eyes open. And then I set an alarm and I woke up this morning and finished it. So it's super fresh. And it was I would say that I really appreciate this because I have not seen this movie in probably like 15 years, honestly. Like it's been so long. I'm excited to get into it. Beautiful.
One follow-up question. When you went back to it this morning, what was the cutoff? What was your breaking point?
The cutoff was, the cutoff was like, right. You remember the shot where Toby looks at his fingers and all the little hairs stick out and then he realizes that he can climb walls. That was literally the part where I picked it back up this morning.
Oh, cool. So early.
Yeah, pretty early.
Very nice. Paige, over to you. Like, first of all, how are you doing today? You have to have that.
I'm okay. As everyone on this podcast right now knows, I delayed the recording of this podcast by like half an hour because I put in the wrong day. I'm a little frazzled. Okay. I watched this movie earlier this week. And so like, it's not as fresh as it sounds like it is for Alan, for me, but so same. I haven't watched it since it like came out and it was like, it felt like the first real big superhero movie. And I'm just like remembering like, remember how creepy Willem Dafoe was and remember how absolutely hunky James Franco was before he became an absolute, I mean, he probably was still an absolute creep, but before he like really took on that moniker for all of us. Mm-hmm. So, and also like, I also remembered how unattractive Toby Maguire is to me.
Wow.
Like I remember being in before middle school and being like, what is the deal? Why would this guy be a superhero? I don't get it. So.
See, when he took his shirt off and he had the little.
Okay, we can talk about that when we get to it. But him taking off his shirt is always so funny to me.
Do you think? And I mean, this is just a curiosity. Paige? Do you think that he is like the least attractive of the three Spider-Men, the three Peter Parkers we've had?
Okay. Yeah, I think he's the least attractive, and like. I get that they're all supposed to be high schoolers, which is like another layer of like, are they hot? But even Tom Holland, who I think is like a boy, is hotter to me than Toby Maguire ever has been ever. He's Seabiscuit. He's Seabiscuit, tiny jockey boy forever. And like a dad at the same time. It's not a good, it does nothing for me.
When I did my rewatch of this movie, I did out loud say that his facial features were very amphibian to me.
Yes, yeah.
More so than Willem Dafoe.
Oh, very much so. I mean, Willem Dafoe, that's Willem. Like he is his own look. Like that's a Willem Dafoe look. Toby, I would need to go to a swamp or a pond to find a a matching look.
He just kind of looks like this to me all the time.
Yeah.
Big ribbit.
He's
just like
got
a resting like what?
He's got a good like smirk, like a perpetual little like kind of semi grin that almost like on rewatch I kind of in my head compared to like the Grinch. Like you know that part in the Grinch where he just does like the most elongated, like dramatic, scary smile. And it feels like Toby Maguire's Peter Parker is just constantly kind of doing that.
You mean the slow-mo Grinch grin where like his hair curls?
Yes.
In addition to oh my God.
Yeah, that's what Toby's Peter Parker looks like to me.
I'm sorry to Toby Maguire
nightmares.
that we're ripping on his face so bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he didn't want it, he shouldn't have become an actor. Let's get into this vehicle. So we're talking about Spider-Man 1, starring Toby Maguire. So this is an origin story. Oh my gosh, what did we say? Like I think Paige, you said like this is like the first like movie that kind of ushered in the modern era of superhero. We have the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but we're whatever.
Those are different though. I feel like it was like The Matrix came out and then everyone was like, remember how we have these people, these heroes who can fly? Isn't that cool? God. That's how I remember it.
Oh yeah. Do either of you remember the Nickelback song that went along with this movie?
Yes.
Not a hero.
Yeah.
A hero can save us. Yeah, I freaking love that song. Oh hell yeah!
I mean,
if that comes on the radio, you got to turn it up.
And I think that really speaks to some of the really great like consolation prizes that we got with some of these movies at the time. You know, like we got Nickelback songs, we got like freaking Happy Meal toys. You know what I'm saying? Like we got like the fanfare, and we got to see the trailer on like Nickelodeon or something a billion times, and we got to see, again, like waiting for the DVD and stuff like that. Like it was so much of an event
because it wasn't happening every 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah, it felt so like special and like cool and fun and just different. It was a different. It felt different then than it does now when a new superhero movie comes out, like you said, every 3 months, and it's already streaming, or it's like there's a different feeling. This one felt like such a momentous cultural shift almost.
Oh yeah. All right, so diving into the beginning, Alan, you wear glasses, so how often were you chasing the school bus? Because not only were the bullies bullying you, but the school bus driver didn't want anything to do with you.
Right, yeah. The school bus driver also just hated Peter Parker from the get-go. But that's New York, baby. Yeah, I would say I, as a glasses wearer, they rarely made me late for the bus. I rarely found myself chasing after the bus. I think the only thing that like similarly happened to me as a child was one time I pulled a prank on my bus driver on the way home, where I went in the bus and thought that she saw me. And so then she was taking roll. And when she said my name, I shouted, "Not here." And then she skipped my stop on the way home because I was the only kid that was at that stop. And then when I noticed that she was skipping my stop, I had to jump up and say, "Wait, I'm here." And she was so mad at me. And so if there was any bus driver, like I'm saying that maybe Peter Parker did something like that. Maybe he pulled a prank on this bus driver and he actually deserved some of the hatred that he got. Because I understand that bus driving is a stressful profession and kids can be little shits sometimes.
That's true.
Wow.
That's so interesting. To look, what did he do to deserve that? To deserve the bullying?
Right. Exactly.
From an adult, yeah. From an adult.
Go to Paige Maney, who I believe a bully in your own right. I feel.
Absolutely.
How did you
Love to pick on kids?
Oh, as an adult.
As an adult.
How did you
just beat up on a little kid,
Please,
like, fuck you.
How did you feel about this high school era with all the bullies led by future
Joe
Magic
Manganiello?
Joe Manganiello.
That was also very distracting for me, I will say, in this rewatch, to be like, hey, that guy's married to Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And he's a bully. And yet it's almost like your brain can't, and my brain could not wrap itself around the idea that like he was a young man once.
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
also I also could not, because I'm a huge fan of Pee-wee Takes a Holiday, like Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure Holiday, with Joe Manganiello as like a main character of that movie. And
wow.
to me he's like this big hunky man with a little boy trapped inside of joy and wonder. And it was hard to be like, and he's a bully. He's like a big high school stereotype.
Oof.
This doesn't make any sense.
Were you rooting for Flash Thompson then?
I wouldn't say I was rooting for him. I would honestly say I was like uncomfortable with like him being a bully. I didn't want this Flash to win either. I wanted everyone to kind of get out of each other's way and start being normal for once. So I wanted to bully them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I really wanted to get in there and do my own bullying. They weren't doing it well, I thought.
You would have bullied the bullies.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, this all leads us to so Peter and his bully, because it feels like the whole high school hates him. Like the whole high school is like, we fucking hate Peter Parker.
Like, yeah.
Fuck Peter Parker. He has no parents. He's being raised by his uncle and Aunt May. Like
his old uncle and aunt.
Yeah,
really
his super old
uncle.
aunt and uncle. He's got a stupid looking camera. He's always trying to take pictures for the school paper, which also we never see. And that was another like little conspiracy theory that I had, which was like, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm taking pictures for the school paper." We never see him go to the actual school paper. So what if he actually is like a creep? Like what if he's got this camera and he's taking like creepy photos and everyone's like, this guy Peter, he sucks. He's always sneaking into the locker room, taking pictures of kids, taking pictures of spiders, and like the biggest, what is it? The biggest electron incubator on the eastern seaboard, whatever they say.
That big tube.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe, I don't know. Again, I'm just thinking like, what could he have done prior to where they start us to maybe piss everybody off? And I think that the camera probably has something to do with it, because he gets shoved and elbowed so much by the bullies.
Yeah, like they're like, fucked up your shot, kid. Nice try. But I think that beyond that, I think the biggest thing, I mean, this is the infamous spider bite. We get it. Like, to me, this is canon. I mean, it is canon. Like, this is the first time I'm seeing it in live action. Paige, how did you feel about this spider bite scene? Were you excited, or were you like, let's go, come on already, let's just become Spider-Man?
No, I like the spider bite scene. I think that the spider bite and the transformation that comes with it is really fun. And I was also thinking about this, about how often the Spider-Man movies have to do with like science that someone practices on themselves. Like I feel like not every villain in every universe for every superhero has these sorts of stories, but like pretty consistently every single time Spider-Man villains, it's like, I'm a scientist and I really want this science to happen. And it's taking too long, so I'm just gonna do it on myself to get it going. And I like that Peter has like a similar sort of story along with his villains that kind of acts like that, where it's like, I did it, something happened to me that like was sciencey, and now I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. Superhero movies have taught me that scientists are greedy, they're impatient, and they will do anything for that Nobel Prize. Anything.
Honestly, it's probably why people don't trust climate scientists anymore, is because of fucking Spider-Man. So actually, this is sort of a right-wing superhero.
I'm so glad you're here to present that side of things, Paige.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I'm going to go to Alan Giles, our resident goblin expert. So simultaneously, Peter's getting bit by a spider, but we're also seeing Miss Defoe coming forth. Alan, what is your relationship like to the Green Goblin, and specifically their origin story?
I mean, I think it's really something that I sort of like, I guess, forgot, which is crazy. But like, I forgot that like the Green Goblin and like Norman Osborn are essentially, in the beginning at least, almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. Like I forgot that it was a bit of like a split personality, which, you know, obviously like the most iconic part of that is the mirror sort of scene, which Defoe completely crushes. I mean, it's incredible. He didn't have to do that. Like he had a scene with himself in a mirror, and he just completely did it.
What a way to sum up Willem Dafoe's acting career. He didn't have to do it.
He didn't have to do it. I mean, this man, he was in Florida Project. He didn't have to do any of this stuff.
No.
But I think that, yeah, it's it is wild. I will say the most shocking thing I think about his origin is how it's and this is what I kind of like about the pacing of the whole movie in general, is that we see the main character become the superhero and the villain become the supervillain almost instantly. I mean, they waste no time. They're like, this is like the first scene and boom, he's getting bit by a spider. Second scene, Willem Dafoe is angry and he's like, just put me in and gas me up, man. I'm pissed at the US military and I don't even care if I die right now. And then he straight up kills his partner like immediately. Yeah. And that is it's so shocking. It was shocking the first time I saw it, and it was shocking this time too. It's like, it's crazy that within seconds he flatlines, he comes back, immediately kills his partner. I mean,
and full on Nosferatu hops up and then flies across the room. I would say bat-like more than goblin-like, but
yeah, honestly, should have called him Batman.
And that's a historical criticism of this movie and the portrayal that Willem Dafoe does is that everyone feels that maybe this villain should have been Batman.
This should have been Batman. I think that's what we're honestly saying.
Yeah. And Spider-Man almost acts like a Dark Knight in this movie, if you know what I mean.
Paige, hard-hitting question. Did the science experiment gone wrong change Norman Osborn, or did it just awaken what was already living inside of him?
See, I think it's something that already awakens something inside of him. I think it's it's kind of a story about mental health. I do think, like, especially in the most recent Spider-Man, I really do think that they empathize with that character a lot more, and they say like, hey, he actually has like a problem that he can't help and that he's sort of predisposed to. And I sort of love that. And I think I've always thought of it that way because also to Defoe's portrayal, like he just does such a good job of being like, yeah, Norman doesn't want to be doing this. He's like really freaked out by this other part of him.
Yeah.
And also like interested in it, kind of like Gollum, where it's like Smeagol and Gollum are like, you're like, oh, Smeagol, bummer.
And that was kind of like simultaneously the Smeagol Gollum Defoe Goblin. We just really liked dual things.
We really wanted a Jekyll Hyde story around then. Must have been.
Yeah. And I do have to say that it feels like remiss to not call out the fact that not only does Defoe do a great job in this role, but he also supplied a really popular meme that we now see all the time, that we see like pretty much instantly. And again, it was something that I didn't remember until we this rewatch, but like I'm something of a bit of a scientist myself, like that one shot, like the first time we meet him. And it's like sort of seeing that today and being like, wow, that is like, why this one little like frame has become such a popular like meme format. But I think it just goes to show that Willem Dafoe was performing his ass off even in that one little frame before he wasn't even the Green Goblin yet. And he still really sold that one line. I'm a bit of a scientist myself, actually. And I mean, it's like, did he know? Did he know that was going to get, that frame was going to get like paused and taken out of context, and the word scientist was going to get written over and shared on social media billions of times?
I think Defoe knew.
Yeah.
Defoe always knows. Man, we've been talking for almost 20 minutes. We haven't even gotten to
Mary Jane. I love the smoker. I love to watch her. Miss Mary Jane.
And you know what? I have to say, she brought us the other big meme moment from this movie.
Alan Giles
does.
on Meme Watch. Wait, what was the other meme? Oh, it was the hey.
Yeah, the shot where she's like yelling back at Enrique, which also is wild because that one is taken way out of context, because that meme nowadays is like, it's like she's supposedly like defending, Peter Parker, but like he's just a, or whatever.
He's just a boy.
But it's crazy because on rewatch I was like, wait, that's not what she's saying at all. That's not even a situation. She's yelling back at her boss, and who's pissed because she's $6 short from her count, by the way. Oof. Which is part of her character that doesn't really get addressed too much.
Dare I say, Kirsten and Willem, the two actors to still be working, and like
truly
not with any weirdness around them.
Let me say this about Kirsten Dunst. Did she and Toby date out of this movie? Did they date? I feel like they might have like briefly.
Briefly.
Or maybe she was dating Jake Gyllenhaal during this. Anyways, here's my thing. She consistently, for me, is hotter than him forever. This goes back to my thing about like, I'm not attracted to Toby Maguire in any way, shape, or form. And so the pairing always, like, she's doing a great job selling it. And I think Toby Maguire is not, he's just kind of doing like a Mary Jane. He's not like
Mary Jane.
He's not doing much. He's not doing much to convince me that he's like really hot for her. And I'm like, and that's fucked up because she's so much hotter and cooler than you, Peter Parker.
I think when he's looking at her with his sopping wet eyes, that's supposed to be the love, because he's obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And that's good.
I love how like he has that one little monologue where he's like kind of stalking her on the sidewalk and never approaches her. And then he just says to himself, "Oh, Mary Jane, oh, did you even know that we're neighbors? Did you know that we've been neighbors since we were 6? And like goes on this monologue that like really is like a bit of a like, oh, wait, you guys are neighbors and she doesn't know? She like, you're on the same bus route and she doesn't know that you live right next door. And then a few scenes later.
I'm sorry, she does. And that's incel behavior to be like, you don't know I even exist. And it's like, she obviously does. You're just a weirdo. She doesn't want to talk to you.
It's absolutely, it's textbook incel behavior because it's factually wrong. And we learned that when a few scenes later, he's in his little backyard and she comes out of her backyard after having an altercation with her drunken father, and she turns and notices him, and she does, you're expecting her to say almost, "Oh, hey, you're that guy from my school. I didn't know that you lived next to me." But instead, no, she recognizes him immediately and just says, "Oh, hey, what's up? Did you hear my drunk father yelling?" So clearly, yes, she knows that you live next to her, Peter. Why are you making up this narrative that you're a nobody, invisible freak? You're not. You're just a creep with a camera, and that's why everyone doesn't like you, because you're sneaking in the locker rooms and you're taking pictures of bodies.
Damn, eviscerated.
Mic drop on Toby.
All right, I think it's time for us to take a hot little break. When we come back, maybe we'll talk about James Franco. Maybe we'll talk about Uncle Ben. Which man will it be? So keep it right here. Enjoy these messages, and we'll be back with more Podcast 616.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomenal CBD store and PhenomenalCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, CBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. Now, Alan Giles, what an actor. I respect you. I respect you so much as a performer. And I've heard that you've based your entire acting career off of James Franco. Look at this face. What did it feel like to reconnect with James Franco when like seeing him wasn't a joke, you know?
Right. Yeah, it was, it sort of reminded me of why I feel like early in his career, people kind of like compared him to like, oh, he's a modern day James Dean, like definitely at the age that he was at in 2002, he's got that tight jawline. He's got that just like young, sort of boyish like face in general, and a good brooding look. I think that's the thing is, Harry is like a character who is pretty much brooding the entire movie. He's never happy. We never see Harry happy. And from the get-go, he's sad about his dad being rich and rolling up in a Rolls Royce to a field trip, to a public school field trip because he flunked out of private school. He's dating Mary Jane and he's consistently not happy about it. Like doesn't even really like her. And then he's just sad because his dad is dead. And so, as far as reconnecting with James Franco in this way, I think he did a pretty good job of just being consistently miserable looking the entire movie. That takes some acting chops. And I respect him because, again, like you said, I based my entire acting career off James Franco, and I always look like I'm having a good time. No matter what I'm doing, everyone always says Alan looks like he's having a good time. So it's hard for me to look miserable. So I really respect James Franco for pulling that off.
Absolutely. And I will say, okay, go with me. There's something Sopranos-esque about this arc with James Franco, because in The Sopranos, Tony Soprano, he really hated his mom, who, turns out she was in charge of the whole crime family. Sorry, spoiler alert for The Sopranos.
Whoa.
When she died, he like honored her like she was this great person, but it's like when she was alive, you really hated her. And I think that's the one thing I noticed from this movie. It's like it's much more of a drama than it is. Whereas like current Marvel movies are like action comedies, this is more of like an action drama with a few jokes here and there because Sam Raimi directed. But I find that so interesting, like the journey of Harry Osborn of like he hated his father, but then when his father died, he becomes this like crusader for like I must preserve my father's name, which is something so dark and real that I felt like in the early odds we were going there. We're going there. That's what I want to say about that. Paige Maney, I want to come to you because you're an expert about professional wrestling. So,
yeah.
When you saw Macho Man Randy Savage take on the character of Bonesaw, how hyped were you?
Yeah, I was so hyped because growing up, I knew who Randy Savage was, and I would say I still know who Randy Savage is, and could like definitely identify him on the street. So like for me, just like my whole body, my whole brain. If I wasn't having a CAT scan at that moment, you would see everything light up for sure. Sure. Yeah. No, I think truly, I always remember the scene, and I do think it is the start of like truly the saddest moment in any superhero movie before and since. I think this is like truly the saddest, most tragic arc. And it does depress me, and it depresses me when Peter thinks he's gonna, be like, obviously he's in this seedy underground world that doesn't treat him right, and he lets it get to him. It's so sad.
Yeah, and he lets that man with that terrible haircut go. Oh God, that
the highlights, the bleach blonde highlights, because that's what you want, when you're about to like commit a series of crimes, which include like robbing a wrestling, like an underground wrestling ring, and then stealing a random old guy's car. Like that's you want, like, okay, before I do that, let me get a really recognizable hairdo where I just like bleach dye my hair so that everyone immediately recognizes me in multiple locations.
Yes.
So good.
Got to do that. How did we, and we all know it's leading, like, yes, Bruce Campbell made a cameo. Lovely. He comes up with Spider-Man. Of course, Bruce Campbell did. But this all leads to the death of Uncle Ben. And it's Peter. I mean, Alan, do you blame Peter? Is it Peter's fault?
No, I don't blame Peter. I think that Uncle Ben was a victim of just, chaos, the chaos of crime and human society and New York City, baby.
Dangerous place.
Exactly. And I think that it's, it's that same question of like when anyone passes away or if there's something where it's like, could I have done something to prevent this? And I really don't think that he could have. I think that I like to believe that there's a sort of destiny about that, where it's like, even if Peter had stopped this one guy, maybe Uncle Ben would have gotten in a car accident that night or something. I think it was inevitable. So I don't think Peter should place blame on himself, but I do like that it ignites his sort of like arc to become this like big crime fighter, sort of in the name of Uncle Ben. I think it's a really cool catalyst for that, for sure.
Yeah. And as listeners to this podcast, my friend Isaac, know I end every podcast saying with great power comes great responsibility.
That's true.
And here it is. This is where when he said that, I did audibly say, it's a big one. It's a big one.
It's huge.
I will say, I always hated that phrase as a child because I was like, you can tell me what to do. It should be my choice. Like I've always like, that's the one thing about these Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies I've always bucked against. It just felt like, well, I have to do this. It's like, don't you want to save the city? Don't you want to like care about people? I always took it as like, well, it's my burden that I have to do. Like, because I have a car doesn't mean I'm going to give everybody a ride home.
There's not a lot of like, what I like that the newer Spider-Man do that this one doesn't do, because it's a different type of story, is that like there's not as much like community driven goodness that Spider-Man does. Like Spider-Man is really just like it's this moodiness that we keep talking about, where it's like, yeah, he just kind of like has to do it because he's driven by like not vengeance, but like wanting to do good on behalf of like a shame that he kind of carries with him, as opposed to like, it's good. I'm a good little boy. I'm just a little boy in high school and I want to be good and I want people to like me. And that is, to me, more relatable, more of a relatable feeling. But I guess like it's also more noble the way that sort of this particular Spider-Man kind of takes on his moniker and decides to be a do-gooder.
Oh yeah, especially the ending, like in the cemetery. Like it's such the lone noble warrior saving queens one pickpocket at a time. Man, there's so many things to hit in this movie. I mean, my God, I wanted to go to the Goblin. Can either of you tell me what the Goblin's plan was? What's his ultimate goal?
Yeah, I can break it down for you,
Alan, please.
Basically, the Goblin's plan was he gave Spider-Man a choice, right?
Yeah.
He said, and I quote, "Will you choose the woman you love, or will you suffer the little children?" One of the best lines in the entire movie, I think. An impossible choice. Will you save the woman you love, or will you suffer the little children?
Suffer the little children.
And I think that does kind of surmise his plan, which I think his plan was really just pure revenge. I think the Goblin was just fueled by revenge on anyone who ever wronged him, right? He immediately kills his partner who wronged him. He kills all of the military guys who, withdrew the contract. He kills all the board members, which also, I have to say, the best death in the entire movie is when he throws that grenade at the Unity Fair and their bodies just instantly become skeletons and explode. I mean, just
could we talk about the Unity Fair?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I feel like we buried the lead. Macy Gray is in this movie.
Macy Gray is in this movie. She's bringing down the house at the Unity Fair. Everybody's so hyped. She's freaking everyone. It's 2002. Everyone's like, this is our jam.
I was telling producer Michael this before we started recording. I always thought that was the Macy's Day. Maybe because it was Macy Gray. I thought it was the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. I'm hearing it now. I think because Macy Gray was there, I assumed, the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. But this is fully the Unity Fair. And we get I believe this is problematic. Miss Kirsten Dunst wearing a kimono with those like fucking chopsticks.
The chopsticks.
And
I love a 2002 Chinese moment on a white girl.
But you know what? I will say that this is where Harry sort of reveals himself to be a bit of an ally, right? Because he sort of calls it out. He doesn't say that's problematic, Mary Jane, but he says, "Oh, I thought you were going to wear that black dress because my dad likes black."
That's right.
What he's really politely saying is, "It's so messed up that you're wearing this," and I'm embarrassed to be around you because this is so racist.
Alan,
and
you are redeeming Harry Osborn. This is amazing.
He's a good guy. He's brooding, but his heart's in the right place, and he was ahead of his time for 2002.
He was like, in 20 years, 3 comedians are going to do a podcast about this. And they're going to absolutely hate what you're wearing.
They're going to absolutely roast your ass, Mary Jane.
It's such
Mary Jane is definitely a girl boss. She's definitely a white girl boss for sure.
Oh,
and that's also like very pioneering of her, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she's how we get to 2012. So the Green Goblin. I'm out, am I?
Yeah, I'm out, am I?
So I want to take it back. I have so many thoughts of the Green Goblin. I think my favorite thing about Norman Osborn is that he already had a room full of masks.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching a lot of Frasier because I have the time. But he has a room full of masks, and jury's out. And I assume he is the Green Goblin mask, because this was supposed to be a military thing. Was that what the soldier was supposed to wear? This Halloween mask going into battle like
I mean, that's a good question.
I think I believe there's a deleted scene where we kind of get this artistic backstory of the Green Goblin, and he's just sort of farting around with some molding clay, and he's like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting, the way that the clay is kind of molding into something grotesque."
Yeah.
And that's just something we, the viewers, never get to see.
Yeah.
I would say, speaking of grotesque, I would like to institute an acting challenge, because as producer Michael knows, this is an acting podcast. So I would love for my guests I would love for you guys to give me your best Green Goblin impersonation.
Of course.
And it cannot be Norman Osborn. I want the full energy that Willem Defoe. I want you to try and top Defoe.
Mm-hmm.
Paige Maney, I would like to start with you.
Sure.
So please, whenever you're ready.
Peter, the Spider-Man. Oh, Peter. Join me. That's what I love, is he's like, come on, join me, Peter. That's my best Defoe. I love this. This is really a movie for Willem Dafoe. It's not for anyone else.
Absolutely. This is for the Defoe heads. And that was very good, Paige. I was terrified. Alan Giles. Could I hear your Green Goblin, please?
Absolutely. I've got 2 lines that I'd like to deliver as best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is one I said already. What'll it be, Parker? Save the woman you love, or suffer the little children? That's one. Thank you. And then my other line is, I think my other favorite line in the entire movie. It's time to die. Probably my favorite line ever said by a villain ever, because really that surmises what every villain's trying to say that, right? Like every villain's just saying it's time to die. And they're so pithy and they're so wordy about like saying quippy things. And he just gets right to the chase. He says, it's time to die. You're going to die right now. It's time. And, I just love, it's a very efficient way to get his point across.
Yeah. It's what Thanos should have said when he snapped his fingers.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the other thing about this movie, is that I love that it's like very relationship driven, and the drama between, like the closeness between Peter and Oz are like, it's very interesting. Like they really know each other, and then they're like, playing with like that, I don't know what your identity is, like, but it's like in the air, kind of this like chemistry of we don't like each other for some reason.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that. You don't get that with a Thanos. Thanos just kind of bulldozes in and like doesn't have a relationship with any of the characters. And it's like, Boring. Nothing's there.
I'm going to stick up for my purple man, Thanos. I mean, that he's an Avengers level villain. He's got to be a villain to he's got to be a villain to 20 different superheroes. Like he doesn't have time to have individual relationships with everybody. He's going up against all of them.
That's a great point, Damon.
Damon, I hope I'm not too off base here, but could I also propose like a bonus acting challenge?
This has never been done before, but
I know I like to.
I'll allow.
Okay, yeah, you know, as Damon mentioned, I'm a little slut, so I like to kind of break the mold. One of my favorite acting moments, I think, in the entire movie was is done by Aunt May. So I'd really like to try, if I can, deliver an Aunt May level performance of the Lord's Prayer.
I would want this would have been the other option. Okay, I want nothing more. Please. This is Alan Giles as Rosemary Harris as Aunt May.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, and deliver us! Deliver us!
Finish it!
Finish it! Why?
She had to finish the prayer.
Oh my god! Yeah, talk to Alan. That was beautiful.
That was really good, Alan.
Thank you.
But this does lead me to one of my biggest questions from Spider-Man 1 is what affliction? So Paige, if you were at the reception desk and you had to fill the paperwork for Aunt May being admitted to the hospital, what is her malady? Like, what is the issue? What is wrong with her?
You know, if I was just a rando on the street, I had no context or anything. She just got old lady disease. You know, she just got little old lady disease. Frail woman, frail constitution. She just got little old lady disease. And maybe she heard a big sound. You know, scared her.
It's like she just got too scared. Check her into the hospital. She is too frightened.
She's too shaken up.
Yeah, I do think though that Aunt May is maybe also the secret villain of this movie, because I
too many hot takes. Too many hot takes,
Alan.
I mean, one, I just think it's insane that she finishes the Lord's Prayer when she's like straight up under attack and the wall turns into flames, and then also she's the one that basically reveals Spider-Man's identity to Norman Osborn by pointing out the cut on his arm during Thanksgiving dinner. And if she had not pointed that out, you know, the whole movie might have turned out very differently. So I think that Aunt May, in a lot of ways, is maybe, like I said, the secret villain, maybe even in cahoots with Harry.
I mean, you could even just read her as a shit stirrer. Okay. She's just there to kind of
like a housewife,
poke the bear.
A real housewife.
Oh yeah. And also she literally, when she smacks Norman's hand when he's about to, which also was one of the wildest sort of like non sequiturs of the whole film, I think. It's just like, this guy, there's nothing to imply that he would ever be the kind of person to just reach his hand into a dish of, I'm assuming, casserole, like sweet potato casserole, and she just goes, stop it. And it's like, isn't this guy like a billionaire? Like, you're just gonna smack his hand away? She's bold.
She's bold. I honestly think she's a liability. I think all of his family members, and dare I say MJ, I don't know. I think he should have left. New York, but whatever. Okay, so I think we're heading to the end. We're almost at the end. Yeah. So yeah, Norman Osborn figures out who Spider-Man is. He then attacks Aunt May because, again, the Green Goblin's plan is just to kill people. And so we get this like a dramatic bitch. He kidnaps Mary Jane and then gets these children to, for them to suffer. And it's like, you choose. Like, it's not, what does one prove over the
That
other?
is
Like,
such camp, though. Ugh,
yeah.
what camp?
What superhero camp? He saves them both. We then get 15 minutes of Kirsten Dunst screaming, and then we go to this interior garden, or maybe like this inside graveyard building.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was grass, but it looked like the graveyard from Harry Potter and the Goblet of
I
Fire.
was literally about to say it's very Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Very Harry Potter.
I was going to ask you guys this. I'm so sorry if we're going to go long, but there's a lot to talk about here. Can you explain to me, because my roommate asked me and I couldn't answer, why pumpkins? Why is it pumpkin bombs?
Like, the grenades are they pumpkins?
Yeah,
like
from the
little
comic.
squashes.
I always assumed goblins lived in pumpkin patches, but I think I thought that because of this movie. You know what I mean?
I feel like goblin association with like maybe Halloween and then like it's around Thanksgiving. I feel like that's sort of the motif that they're doing, that they're playing on, is just like time of year.
Maybe it's like a very efficient shape too. It's just a very, like easy to hold shape. I mean, a little pumpkin, it has a little knob you can fit between your fingers, and then it's round, so it fits in your hand really well. Easy to throw.
Yeah, one could say a baseball could also do that.
True. It's like a baseball with a little pop socket, like a little iPhone pop socket attached to it. Which honestly, if anyone from the MLB is listening, try adding that. Maybe it'd be easier to hold those things.
Alan, I'm here to. The MLB loves this podcast. We're very pro MLB. I just bring that up because we get this cool moment where like Peter's face, his mask gets exploded, and so we get this like half face moment. There's a cool like, he like crosses his arms and shoots webs and pulls the wall down, and I just think that's really badass.
Yeah, that's cool.
Get a nice Evil Dead shot, the handout. Yada yada yada. The glider kills the goblin. Don't tell Harry. Goblin's dead. Delivers the body. I'm just rushing to the end. I'm so sorry. Norman's dead. Peter undresses him and delivers him naked into Harry Osborn's house
with gaping wounds, presumably in the middle of his body. Like Harry just thinks that Spider-Man just like came into his bedroom and like stabbed him.
Stabbed him 6 times in a row. In the same place. And Harry's like, oh my god. So I'm just like, Harry Osborn, like, not only did you kill my father, you also disrobed him.
Yeah, like came in, disrobed him, stabbed him, and then left. So
sensual with my dad.
Spider-Man's a fucking freak, y'all.
Yeah.
And then we get the funeral for Norman Osborn, and I love going to the funeral of people that I killed. Very cathartic. And oh my gosh, wow! I'm just realizing we didn't talk about the upside down kiss.
The upside down kiss,
yeah,
or J. Jonah Jameson.
I'm cool. You know what? I'm going to be talking about these movies. I'm going to deal with Jameson probably another podcast, but
for sure,
the upside down kiss. That's the only thing. That's only here. Paige, did you want to kiss someone upside down when you saw this?
So here's what I'll say. I remember being a little girl and watching an interview before I saw the movie, watching an interview with Kirsten Dunst talking about it, and her saying how uncomfortable it was because, and Toby Maguire saying how uncomfortable it was because there was so much water getting into his mouth and nose as he was trying to kiss Kirsten Dunst in the rain upside down. And how it wasn't actually any fun to do. It was actually pretty laborious. And so for that reason, I've always been like, an upside down kiss does nothing for me. And especially this one with water and snot, and the fact that he like he's looking at her chin while he kisses her.
Yeah.
I get the idea behind it, but I think I've always heard the reality of it and thought like, this is a snotty spit kiss. It's not a hot one, unfortunately.
Yeah. So sad.
No matter how hot I want it to be.
Well, if you want hot, I got something to help you. Because it's time now for our final segment of This Week and Every Week. It's a fuck, marry, kill, everybody.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And when you're doing fuck, marry, kill for Spider-Man 1, we're going to do the hot 20-something singles in this movie. And by single, I mean, MJ and Harry are dating, whatever. We're talking about Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson, and Harry Osborn. Fuck, marry, kill. I'll go first to allow my guests time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I hope you understand the rules of this game. It feels pretty self-explanatory. So I will say my kill, it's going to be Harry Osborn. He's just a sad man. Even though earlier I did say I love the nuance that of him, but it's just, he's so moody, so broody, and I'm just not there anymore. You know, I'm 33. Mm-hmm. I'll probably be 34 when this podcast airs. Birthday's coming up soon. Anyway, and I'm over it. So I'm going to kill Harry Osborn. Oh gosh, I think I will fuck Toby Maguire. Even though he is very frog-like, there's enough there that I could spend one night with him. I could spend one night with Toby Maguire, and by that I mean Peter Parker. And then I'm going to marry Mary Jane Watson, and I'm going to let her know that it's okay to be an actress and a waitress. And I'll remind her that most actresses are always waitresses, even if they're working actresses.
And now there's a musical about that too.
And now there's indeed where at least 5 actresses are waitresses.
Exactly.
It's a small cast, but God, gotta let her know. And the only way I can tell her is to marry her, obviously.
It's the only way you can tell anybody anything these days.
So the engagement. Paige Maney, who are your picks?
So I'm gonna go kind of in the vein that I've sort of been in this whole conversation. I'm gonna kill Toby Maguire. I'd kill him, man. It's the incel vibes. It's the weird smile, the wet eyes, the upside down kiss with snot. It does nothing for me, unfortunately. And Peter, I think, ultimately has so many demons. He never gets to fully process his Uncle Ben's death.
Oh, yeah.
He kills a man. He's just like got a lot. And I'm not really willing to deal with that. And I think he must be eliminated from my life in order for me to kind of move on with these other two, to get it out of the way. I think fucking someone sad can be fun. So
you wanted to kill,
that has its own little treats.
You wanted to kill Peter Parker for being so sad. Interesting.
I wanted to kill. He's like sad in a different way. Like Harry's rich. Like it would be fun. We would go somewhere, probably somewhere fun to do it. But I also, like, at the same time, you know, it's James Franco. I don't want to give that man anything. So, like, take it with a grain of salt. I'd probably kill Harry, too, if I could. And then I'd marry Mary Jane. She's, you know, she's a girl boss. And I'm good for her. Good for her. It's Kirsten Dunst at the end of the day. I want to be with that woman so bad.
Yeah, don't be a Dunst. Thank you for laughing at that. Alan Giles, who are you picking?
Well, as a fellow little slut, like Paige, I'm gonna outright say I'm also killing Peter. He's like Paige covered. He's got issues, and I really can't get over the hairy fingers. Because you know, even if I think about not marrying him but fucking him, I'm like, I don't want those hairy fingers near me at all.
I didn't even think about that. But I would be fucking a Spider-Man.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, like, what if he puts his hand somewhere and he can't? It's stuck. And you know, I mean, his hand gets stuck to a lot of things, and I don't want his hand stuck on my body anywhere. So I'm killing Peter. And this is where things get a little interesting. I think, and this might be crazy. I think I'm going to marry Harry. Because he's a trust fund kid, so I'm going to be taken care of.
Very fair.
And like we covered before, he's actually pretty woke. And we know he's an ally. So I think that
yes, we know that. We do
one
know
scene
it.
that we're interpreting differently 20 years later, and you're like, pretty woke.
He's pretty woke for a trust fund kid. So I think that, you know, he'd take care of me, and we'd be fine. It wouldn't be an amazing marriage, but it would be passable. And then I think I would fuck Mary Jane. But the other thing is, I feel like I thought about marrying Mary Jane. Then I thought about how she was fully dating Harry when she had the upside down kiss with Spider-Man. And I thought, well, you know, can I trust Mary Jane to be loyal to me as a wedded partner, because if someone saves her life, that's all it takes, apparently, for her to just fall in love with someone else.
She did say the line, "Now I can properly thank you."
Yeah, now I can probably thank you with a kiss. And so I'm like, I'm going to be worried. Like, are you going to thank like the guy at Subway, like for making your sandwich with a kiss? Or are you going to thank, like, I mean, I'm a little slut, so I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I can trust Mary Jane. So I'm going to have to just say, I'll fuck Mary Jane.
All right. That is, that's wild to me. Hopefully I also assume you'd be fucking her upside down. So I feel like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The 69 all the way with Mary.
Yeah. Very nice. Man, thank you guys so much for doing this podcast. If there was any Spider-Man things that we didn't get to, don't worry. I'm watching Spider-Man all fucking month. SpiderMan September is what we'll call it in the show notes. Now it's that time where you got to tell me all your socials. So Alan Giles, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Alan F. Giles and Instagram at Alan_F_Giles.
Okay. What, man? When you said that, it sounded like a lie, but I hope that's true.
It's true.
Okay. Paige Maney, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the real P Maney, Maney. And then there's nothing good on there. And then you can also find me on Instagram. There's also nothing good on the Instagram. It's Pagina123. That's it.
Pagina123. Very lovely. This is Podcast 616. You can find us on Twitter at Podcast 616P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Productions. Thank you so much for allowing me and my little slut friends to be doing this podcast.
Wow. Wow. He's not dropping it.
No, I want to ruin my career. You can also follow me, Damon Royster, on Twitter and Instagram at Dayman Royster. On Twitter, it's Dayman Royster88, DaymanRoyster. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Gay Frazier. That's gay with 2 A's because that's how gay it is. Producer Michael, do you want to hop on the mic real quick and let us know what letter grade would you give this podcast that we just did?
I agreed with a lot of things you guys said, so I'll give you guys a solid A.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
That comforts me. That soothes me. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Toby Maguire. My little frog boy. I can't wait to spend more time watching your movies. That's the whole thing. And as we say here on Podcast 616, like Uncle Ben did in his Dying Man scene, don't forget that with great power comes even greater responsibility.